Allo, allo, it's Nia. Welcome to AI Creator World Podcast, the place where creators learn how to grow faster, build smarter, and turn artificial intelligence into real opportunity. Here, we explore powerful AI tools, content strategies, personal branding systems, and new ways to create income in the digital era. If you are building something online, you are in the right place. Let's begin.
I want you to imagine something for just a second. You're sitting at your desk, the glow of the monitor lighting up your face at 2 in the morning.
Well, we've all been there.
Right. And you finally see it. That magical 10,000 follower milestone on your brand new AI influencer account. You've done it.
It's a huge moment.
It really is.
Yeah.
You're celebrating. You're sitting back in your chair thinking, like, I've finally made it. The grind is over. And now, will the brand deals just roll in?
If only it were that easy.
Exactly. Because what you probably don't realize is that right at this exact moment of triumph, you are actually speeding headfirst toward a massive, entirely invisible brick wall.
Yeah, it is a really harsh reality check for so many creators. I mean, people look at that 10K mark and they view it as a finish line.
Yeah, they do.
They think that the hard part was, just getting noticed in the first place. But operationally, crossing that threshold is actually one of the most dangerous moments in a digital brand's life cycle.
And that is the absolute core of what we are getting into in today's deep dive. We're looking at a pretty fascinating strategy guide published in 2026.
Right. Scale AI influencer after 10K followers. Complete growth playbook.
Yeah, that's the one. And our mission today is to figure out why the tactics that scraped and clawed you to 10,000 followers will completely dismantle your business if you keep relying on them.
It's a totally different game.
It is. We are mapping out the specific step-by-step operational blueprint for taking a single digital avatar and evolving it into a highly sustainable multi-revenue business.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because right out of the gate, the source material argues that hitting 10K requires this massive psychological and operational identity shift. Like, what is actually breaking down behind the scenes when an account hits this size?
Well, it really comes down to understanding the mechanics of early stage growth versus scaled growth.
Right.
When you first launch an AI persona, you are in raw discovery mode. You're flying solo.
Doing everything yourself.
Exactly. You are generating the images, writing the captions, manually scheduling the post. You're jumping on daily trends just to see what sticks.
Throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah. And that looseness is actually a superpower early on. You need that agility to find your voice and figure out what the market actually wants. But, and this is the key, that approach has a hard, unforgiving ceiling.
It's the classic 10K trap. You just think, well, I need to keep doing what I'm doing, but just louder.
Exactly, but the dynamic has flipped entirely. At 10,000 followers, your positioning is pretty established. Your audience knows what to expect.
Yeah?
But creators fall into the trap of continuing to operate with the same scrappy, day-to-day chaos they used at 500 followers. Suddenly, the thing limiting the brand's growth is no longer a lack of market demand.
Oh, right.
The constraint becomes the creator's own personal bandwidth.
Man, that makes me think of like opening a restaurant. At first, you're the startup founder of this little neighborhood cafe. You're the chef cooking the food.
You're the waiter taking the orders.
Right. You're the host seating the guests, and at the end of the night, you are the dishwasher scrubbing the plates, which, works when you have 10 customers.
Sure.
But at 10K followers, suddenly you have a line of customers wrapping around the block. The demand is totally there. But if you don't stop waiting tables and go build a proper systemized kitchen line, the restaurant is going to collapse under its own weight.
No matter how good the food is.
Exactly.
What's fascinating here is how the research defines the biggest threat at this specific stage. They actually label it consistency risk.
Consistency risk. Okay, what does that mean in practice?
Well, at 10K, your audience size brings real credibility, right? Which unlocks inbound opportunities. Brands start reaching out for collaborations, sponsorships, things like that.
The fun stuff.
The fun stuff. But if you don't have systems in place, your entire operation is basically built on glass. Your daily posting schedule, the visual quality of your AI influencer, the prompt engineering.
It's community management.
All of it. It all rests on the shoulders of one single human being. If you get sick, or I don't know, if you just experience normal burnout from staring at screens all day,
The whole brand
it
halts.
completely stops. The creators who actually scale at this stage are not the most creatively talented. They are the most systemized business operators.
Which means the immediate first step to surviving this
Mm.
phase is buying back your time.
Right.
If relying on one person is the bottleneck, we have to build that kitchen line.
Exactly.
But I have to say, looking at the solutions proposed in the research, it feels like a glaring irony to me.
How so?
Well, we are talking about scaling an AI influencer, a completely digital, non-human entity built on automation. And the very first step the guide demands is hiring human beings.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, why? If I'm using AI, shouldn't I just be able to write a script to run the whole thing?
It seems contradictory at first glance, I know, but it is fundamentally necessary. The recommendation is to hire a virtual assistant, specifically one who understands the creator economy. You aren't hiring them to replace your creative vision. You are delegating the endless administrative workflow that surrounds the content.
Oh, like the busy work.
Exactly. The scheduling, the comment moderation, compiling the weekly analytics, doing inbox triage. By handing off those specific tasks, a creator immediately reclaims like 5 to 10 hours a week.
That's huge. And if you're listening to this and thinking, I don't have the budget to hire a VA right now, the data suggests you might be looking at it backward.
Absolutely. Because you then delegate the biggest time sink of all, which is video editing.
Right. Video editing takes forever.
It is consistently the highest time cost task in this ecosystem.
Yeah.
The crucial distinction to understand here is that human assistants in an AI workflow are there to remove operational friction.
Make things smooth.
Yeah.
Mm.
The goal is not to automate your creativity. The goal is to automate everything surrounding it so you can actually focus on the creative direction and the overall business strategy.
But how do you actually hand off something as nuanced as an AI influencer's persona? I mean, if I'm paying a VA or a part-time editor, how do I make sure they don't accidentally post an image where my AI avatar suddenly has, like, 6 fingers or completely different lighting?
Oh, the 6 fingers, a classic AI problem.
Right. So the guide talks about this concept of the one-page SOP, standard operating procedure. And it really emphasizes that it doesn't need to be some massive, boring corporate manual.
No, not at all. The one-page SOP is really the invisible architecture of your business. It is remarkably simple but incredibly strict.
Okay, break that down for me.
So, for every recurring task, you create a single document. Let's say the task is generating the daily lifestyle image of your AI persona.
Sure.
The SOP lists the clear objective, the step-by-step process, the specific software tool to use, and most importantly, the quality standard.
Right, so give me an example of what that quality standard actually looks like for an AI.
Well, it would include the exact seed image prompt. It would have specific negative prompts like no glossy skin or no unnatural lighting, and the exact aspect ratio.
Got it.
If you have those brand voice guidelines and visual identity rules rigorously documented, a VA can literally take over the generation process. It completely breaks the dependency on your physical presence at the keyboard.
And once you have that human support handling the pipeline, I guess that is where the AI tools come back in to do the heavy lifting of the content volume.
Exactly.
The guide introduces the batch content framework. So instead of waking up every morning in a panic thinking, what on earth do I post today?
Which is exhausting.
Totally. Instead of that, you consolidate. You have one dedicated production day a week where you just churn out 7 to 10 pieces of content. You have an editing day midweek, and you build this massive inventory buffer.
And that inventory buffer acts as psychological armor for the creator.
Psychological armor.
I like that. It really is. It separates the act of creation from the act of distribution. You completely remove that daily decision fatigue that erodes your creative energy.
Yeah.
And you pair that buffer with a weekly analytics review. Not monthly, weekly. You look at your top 5 and bottom 5 posts, identify the underlying pattern, and make one single strategic adjustment for the next week's batch.
So it's constant.
Right. It creates a closed-loop system of constant, manageable optimization.
Okay, so let's look at where we are. We've hired a VA to handle the inbox and the scheduling.
Yeah.
We've got an editor following our one-page SOPs.
Check and check.
And we've got a buffer of content scheduled out for the next 3 weeks. The machine is humming. We have all this newly freed up capacity. Where do we point it? Because once you step back and look at your single, highly successful TikTok account, you realize something scary. You are one algorithm tweak away from zero.
That is the exact definition of concentration risk.
It's terrifying.
It is. If your entire 10,000 follower audience lives exclusively on one platform, And that platform decides to, say, change its distribution model tomorrow.
Or it gets banned by lawmakers.
Exactly. You lose your entire business overnight. So the newly freed bandwidth must be spent on multi-platform expansion.
And this isn't just about cross-posting, right?
Right.
Because the guide makes a massive distinction between reposting and repurposing.
A huge distinction.
Reposting is just taking a TikTok video, downloading it, and lazily slapping it onto YouTube Shorts. Repurposing is taking the core idea and adapting it to the native language of the new platform.
Right. A 60-second TikTok hook needs to be translated into an Instagram carousel breakdown.
Which then becomes the outline for a 10-minute YouTube explainer.
Yes, which then drives people to a private newsletter. You are stretching one core idea across multiple formats to capture completely different audience behaviors.
Which is incredibly labor-intensive if you don't have those systems we just discussed.
You simply couldn't do it alone.
But here's where it gets really interesting, though. If you are chopping up and stretching your AI influencers' content to fit all these radically different platforms, short, long, written, visual, doesn't that completely dilute the actual brand identity?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it like different social settings. TikTok is like a noisy nightclub.
That's a good comparison.
You have 3 seconds to scream your point over the music. YouTube is more like a college lecture hall. You have a seated audience willing to listen for 20 minutes.
Right.
If my AI persona acts like they are in a nightclub while standing in the lecture hall, they look ridiculous. They lose all credibility. How do you keep it feeling like the same cohesive person?
That perfectly illustrates what the research calls platform pressure. Every single platform has its own algorithmic gravity.
Algorithmic gravity.
Right. So the TikTok algorithm will naturally try to pull your content style toward being shorter, faster, and more hyper-reactive. The YouTube algorithm wants retention and depth.
And if you just surrender to that?
If you surrender to that pressure on every platform, your brand identity fragments. You become a completely different character depending on where the audience finds you.
Which completely shatters the illusion of the AI persona. The whole point is that they feel like a consistent entity.
Exactly. To resist that platform pressure, you have to anchor ruthlessly to those one-page SOPs we talked about.
So they save you again.
They do. Your visual rules, your character's backstory, your voice guidelines, the color grading of your images, those elements never change, regardless of the platform. You adapt the structural format to fit the nightclub or the lecture hall, but you never, ever compromise the core positioning of the persona itself.
Okay, so we've conquered multiple platforms. We've defended the brand against algorithm changes by diversifying our reach. And the daily machine is running smoothly.
The kitchen line is built.
We built the kitchen line.
Yeah.
So what is the absolute highest leverage thing a creator can do next? Because according to the data, you don't just make more content for your one AI star, you make more creators.
The persona portfolio. This is arguably the most powerful scaling mechanism in the entire AI creator space.
Wild.
And it's something traditional human influencers simply cannot do.
I love this concept so much. It's exactly like running a record label. Think about it. You just spent the last year, and probably it's a significant amount of money, building $1 million recording studio.
Right.
You hired the best sound engineers. You got a top-tier marketing team. You built a distribution network, all for your first big pop star. Why on earth would you let that incredible studio sit empty when the pop star is asleep?
You wouldn't?
No. You sign a country singer, you sign a rock band, and you let them use the exact same infrastructure you already paid for.
You are operating multiple AI personas in parallel, placing each one in a distinct, highly targeted niche.
Yeah.
Because you have your VA, your video editor, your prompt engineering workflows, and your multi-platform distribution already dialed in. Launching AI persona number 2 does not mean starting from zero.
Just plug them in.
Exactly, you plug a brand new digital face into your existing operational machine.
But wait, let me push back on this a little. If I'm sitting here managing 5 different fake influencers, doesn't my audience eventually figure out it's all just a massive content farm?
Wow.
Like, don't they turn on me for being inauthentic? How do you maintain the illusion when you're mass-producing personalities?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it requires understanding the modern audience. Audiences engaging with AI influencers know they are AI. The value isn't in tricking them. The value is in the hyper-specific aesthetic and the niche content that persona provides. But your concern highlights a really critical warning from the guide. You cannot just launch 5 generic lifestyle avatars and hope one goes viral.
You can't just copy and paste the first success.
No, the positioning for each new persona must be surgically distinct before you launch them. If you attempt to scale a portfolio with undefined or overlapping positioning, all you do is confuse the market.
Oh, because they overlap?
Yeah, you actually dilute the compounding benefits because your own avatars end up competing against each other for the same brand deals and the same audience attention.
That makes total sense.
One persona might be a high-end tech reviewer, the next might be a sustainable fashion advocate. Each persona has to solve a completely different problem for a completely different demographic, even though they share the exact same back-end team.
The back end is shared, but the front ends are distinct. It's brilliant. All right, let's talk about the reality of the money here. We have the studio, we have the platforms, we have a portfolio of AI stars running on autopilot.
The dream.
The dream. But reach and operational efficiency are completely meaningless if we can't pay the rent. How does this actually translate into a profitable, sustainable business?
The core philosophy here is that once you cross 10K followers, revenue diversification is no longer just nice to have. It is a strict risk management requirement.
Right.
If you rely solely on intermittent brand sponsorships to fund this operation, you are incredibly vulnerable to market shifts.
Let's run the actual math from the guide. For sponsorships, hitting the 10K mark puts you firmly in micro-influencer territory. In lucrative niches like tech, AI tools, or B2B business, you can command between $150 to $500 per sponsored post.
Which is a solid start.
Yeah, and then you layer in affiliate marketing, and the advice here is refreshing. You don't need to spam 50 different affiliate links. You just need 2 to 4 really solid partnerships that align perfectly with your avatar's specific niche.
And beyond brands, there is direct community monetization, which is far more predictable.
Right, subscriptions.
Exactly. The conversion math they use is compelling. If you have 10,000 total followers across your platforms and you convert just 1% to 2% of them into a paid private community, say a Discord server or a Patreon at $10 a month, that alone generates $1,000 to $2,000 in recurring monthly income.
Wow. Just from 100 or 200 superfans, that completely changes the baseline of the business.
This gives you breathing room.
Plus, the research highlights digital products as the absolute highest margin category. Things like Notion templates, preset packs, or specific prompt libraries.
Yeah, you build the digital asset once and you sell it infinitely to your existing audience with zero marginal cost.
But when it does come time to negotiate those larger brand deals, the strategy has to shift, right? Because the guide is adamant. Do not negotiate your rates based on raw follower counts.
Never. A brand isn't just buying reach anymore. They are buying audience trust and your established niche authority.
Right.
You have to sell that using a formal positioning document that details your audience demographics and engagement rates. And if your engagement is genuinely strong, you leverage that to negotiate performance-based bonuses.
Like if a video does well, you get paid more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you hit certain targets on metrics you actually control, like post saves or link clicks, you get paid a premium.
But let's be real here. Keeping this entire machine running isn't free. You have to pay the VAs, the editors, the Midjourney subscriptions, the ChatGPT API costs, the scheduling software.
It adds up.
It does. The budget realities are laid out pretty clearly. Running this lean team at the 10K to 25K follower stage is going to cost you roughly $400 to $1,000 a month in overhead. So what does this all mean for the listener wanting to try this? With all these one-page SOPs and VAs and automated pipelines, are they guaranteed to be printing money by month 3?
We need a heavy dose of reality here, and the data provides it by mapping out a timeline. It is a phased progression, not a straight magical line to wealth.
Yeah, no get-rich-quick schemes here.
The first 3 months are entirely about stabilizing the systems. You are documenting those SOPs, onboarding your first VA, and getting your weekly batch production running smoothly. You shouldn't even be focusing on massive revenue growth yet.
You're just trying to keep the kitchen from catching fire while you build it.
That is the perfect way to look at it. The next phase is monetization acceleration. That's when you launch your first digital product, activate your core affiliates, and begin testing a paid community tier.
Okay, and then?
The phase after that is about broader brand expansion and building true authority, getting media features outside of social media, and securing long-term brand renewals.
So when does the creator actually see a return? Like when do they break even?
Operational break-even, where your monthly generated revenue finally covers that monthly overhead cost of $400 to $1,000, typically happens somewhere between the 20,000 and 35,000 follower mark.
Okay, so it takes a bit.
It does. Actual sustainable profitability, where the creator is taking home significant income, doesn't usually arrive until you hit 40K to 60K followers. So no, you are not printing money by month 3. It is a strategic, methodical, and often tedious build.
It's an investment phase. You are building the factory before you can start selling the cars.
Precisely.
So to recap all of this for you listening, hitting 10,000 followers isn't just a number, it's an identity shift. You have to stop acting like a chaotic solo creator and start thinking like a ruthless business operator. Systems will always beat raw talent at scale.
Every time.
Whether you are managing an AI influencer or trying to scale any kind of a digital brand, the blueprint remains the same. Buy back your time with lean teams and strict SOPs, repurpose your content intelligently to defend against unpredictable platform algorithms, and diversify your revenue so you aren't reliant on a single point of failure.
This raises an important question, though. A question about the future of media and entertainment itself.
Oh, here we go.
Think about the incredible leverage we just discussed today. If one single solo creator sitting in their bedroom, armed with just a small team of virtual assistants and a stack of AI generation tools, can launch and manage an entire portfolio of highly profitable, perfectly targeted AI personas that operate around the clock.
Yeah.
What happens in a few years? What happens when these hyper-efficient portfolio creators begin directly competing for massive ad dollars against bloated, human-led Hollywood studios or global advertising agencies? Who actually wins that war for our attention when the playing field is leveled by automation?
That is a wild, wild thing to think about. It really puts that 10,000 follower milestone into perspective. You think you're just celebrating a nice round number on your profile, but if you look closely, you aren't at the finish line at all. You're just standing in front of that invisible brick wall, deciding whether you're going to crash into it or build a door.
Thank you for listening to AI Creator World Podcast. If you found this episode valuable, make sure to follow the podcast, subscribe on YouTube, and share this episode with another creator who is building their future online. For deeper guides, AI tools, and step-by-step growth strategies, visit our website at aicreatorworld.net. And remember, in the age of artificial intelligence, creators who learn faster will lead the future. See you in the next episode. Bye!